guys, how's it going? And welcome back to the channel. And today we've got another race reaction for the 2022 season. And today we're talking about the Mexican Grand Prix, which I think is probably the worst race of the season so far. We still have some action and stuff, but there was a lot of points where it was very dull. So it's a little bit disappointing, but nonetheless, we've still got quite a few things to talk about, so let's get into them for the race reaction. So once again, Red Bull dominate once again. Max Verstappen taking the victory from Lewis Hamilton 15 seconds up the road, and I cannot believe they managed to go from soft to mediums on a one-stop. That was truly incredible, and the fact they still had that much pace towards the end of the race was just insane. But yeah, I think, Red Bull are definitely a dominant team at the moment, and I think they will be for many years to come. You know, they've still got Adrian Newey, one of the best designers in the world, and yeah, they just seem to be absolutely nailing everything at the moment, so you really have to give credit to them. And Sergio Perez as well, his home Grand Prix once again, taking the podium once again, just like last year. So yeah, he had a very good well, I think a very good race. He had an alright race, sort of stuck behind Lewis for majority of the Grand Prix, but Mercedes definitely look like they're there or thereabouts now. But yeah, struggled to get past Lewis, but still brought home in third. And like I said, he still had the incredible amount of support throughout the weekend, obviously, because the Mexican fans are very, very passionate. But yeah, Red Bull, once again, just, I don't know what to say about them. They're just too dominant. Yeah, sorry, it didn't sound right. They're just too dominant. So yeah, it's I just cannot believe they managed to do the soft medium strategy that well and still had that much pace towards the end of the race as well. It's just crazy. So yeah, I can't say much else on them. Just well done, Red Bull. And obviously Max also breaks the record for the most amount of wins in a season as well, which is now 14, which I'm sure he's going to get a win in Brazil or Abu Dhabi as well. So yeah, can't wait to see that. But wow, what an incredible drive. Next up then is Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton, like I mentioned, bring it home in P2, 15 seconds behind Verstappen, and like I said, fended off Perez more or less the whole entire Grand Prix, but just, I felt like they did go wrong with the strategy onto the hards because the hards wasn't a good time for them. So yeah, it was a bit of a strategy blunder for them, and I was surprised they didn't go into the pits when the virtual safety car came out, but I understand track position and stuff, and like I said, the Red Bulls still look good on the old mediums as well, coming towards the end of that stint. So yeah, it's yeah, a bit of a shame that he couldn't once again challenge for the win, but got a great start around the outside of George, pushed him a little bit wide, but I think it was fair. It's quite a tight exit through that second part of that chicane. So, yeah, I think he did all he could. And then George Russell in P4, once again, had kind of a lonely race, really. Was quite far behind Perez, or the top three, and then had a massive gap to the Ferraris ahead behind. So it was a pretty lonely race for George Russell, but nevertheless a good amount of points for Mercedes and closing in on second in the championship as well. So next up, Ferrari then, and where on earth did their pace go this weekend? They didn't look good in qualifying, they didn't look good in the race, and they were just absolutely nowhere. It felt like 2021 all over again. Sainz in P5 and Leclerc in P6. Leclerc is sort of getting dominated by Sainz the entire Grand Prix, really. I think he out-qualified him in the race as well, in qualifying as well. So yeah, not a good time for Ferrari, and well, I think to me this just sums up their season really. I mean, you know, now the championship's over, this is normally when I feel teams start to come into their own and start winning stuff, but obviously because there's no pressure. But yeah, I just don't know what's happening at Ferrari, and it's not looking good. Hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come for next year, because we'd love to see three teams battling it out, and hopefully Mercedes sort their issues out for next year as well. But yeah, Ferrari just nowhere really. I mean, the only sort of action we saw from them was when they made their pit stop and the other guys hadn't pits and they were making a few moves here and there, but apart from that, not really a lot to say on them. So next up then, McLaren and Daniel Ricciardo, P7. What a drive. Obviously he did have that contact with Yuki Tsunoda midway through the race, which he got a 10-second time penalty for, which I think was sort of fair at first on board. When I saw it happen live, I was like, that's a little bit silly from Yuki, but it was a little bit audacious, and obviously wrecked Yuki Tsunoda's race. But yeah, the way he came back through the field on those soft tyres, he was flying, and it was great to see Ricciardo doing well once again. So yeah, really good and well done to Daniel. But yeah, apart from that, managed to get took his 10-second penalty in the pits and then came back into 7th place. So a really good pool of points for Daniel. And now Lando P9 again kind of had a lonely race as well. Didn't really see much of him. I think he was having a few battles here and there throughout the midfield, but apart from that, obviously couldn't really hold off Ricciardo because he was on the softs and he was just bolting it towards the end. But still more points for McLaren, so P7 and P9 for McLaren. So next up, Alpine then, and Esteban Ocon finished in P8. And once again, didn't really see much of Ocon, didn't really have the pace to challenge the Ferraris or anything, but still had a battle with the midfield cars. And Fernando Alonso was gutted to be out of the Grand Prix, coming towards the end of the Grand Prix. I don't know what it was, some sort of reliability issue, but yeah, put him out of the Grand Prix and he was not happy. But it was still really good to see him this passionate, considering that his age and how long he's been in Formula One now. It's still great to see that passion that he has, and no driver wants to retire, but we all know Fernando Alonso, and considering he's leaving the team as well, I don't think he'd really care that much. But again, it just shows that he's passionate about racing and all that good stuff. So yeah, it was really sad to see Alonso retire, but yeah, he retired from the Grand Prix, but only 4 points for Alpine. Next up is Alfa Romeo then, and Valtteri Bottas finishing in 10th, which I think he'll be a little bit disappointed about because he was absolutely nailing it in qualifying. He looked quite good all weekend, really, but the race pace just wasn't really there for Alfa Romeo, really. He was in a world of battles in the midfield, which is great to see, but unfortunately wasn't able to hold off the likes of the McLarens and the Alpines. But still got a point for Alfa Romeo, which I think they'll take. I think that's his first points finish since Azerbaijan, I think. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm pretty sure it's been a while for Bottas. And Guan Yu Zhou in P13. Once again, he was sort of there or thereabouts, sort of fighting. I think he made quite a good move on someone. I can't remember who it was now, but he is not afraid to make a move here or two, is young Guan Yu Zhou. So it's great to see. But yeah, only 1 point for Alfa Romeo, but I think that's better than what they have been doing recently. So next up, Alpha Towery then, and Pierre Gasly, P11, and he is now on 10 penalty points as well after that really silly move that he made on Stroll after he sort of locked up, went down the inside and just completely pushed Stroll off the circuit, got a penalty for it, served it. And then, yeah, he still managed to sort of be there or thereabouts. And like I said, finished in P11 as well, so not too bad at all for Pierre Gasly. And like I said, Yuki Tsunoda got yeeted by Daniel Ricciardo, and that just completely wrecked his race, really. I think he had suspension damage, so they couldn't send him out once again. So yeah, because they were taking like really a long time to change the front wing. I was like, what are they doing? Like, get the front wing off. But I think the team were just investigating, and yeah, they couldn't send him out again. So yeah, bad luck for Yuki Tsunoda. But yeah, Gasly's got to be careful now because he's getting penalties left and right, and 2 more penalty points, and he'll have a race ban. So he's got to watch out for that. So next up then, Aston Martin, and they had a completely different race compared to Kota. Vettel in P14 and Stroll in P15. Again, didn't really see anything of him. Like I said, we saw that move with Gasly and Stroll, and then I think we saw probably a few more battles, but again, just not really much to say on Aston Martin, considering they, came from such a good weekend in America. But yeah, not really much to say on Aston Martin, and it's a little bit disappointing. And hopefully Vettel can, finish strong in these last 2 races, because I'm going to miss Seb a lot. Next up then, Williams, and we didn't really see any of Williams, really. Alexander Albon in P12 and Latifi in P18. Once again, yeah, just sort of nowhere, really. Albon sort of had a decent weekend once again, ahead of both Aston Martins and both Haas's, and once again up above his teammate. But yeah, didn't really see much of Williams. I think they were battling here and there, but yeah, not really much to say on them. And Latifi finished 2 laps down, and yeah, was nowhere. And finally then, Haas, and once again, didn't see anything of Haas, I don't believe, throughout the entire Grand Prix. I don't think we saw any moves from them, but Mick Schumacher finished ahead of Magnussen, P16 and 17 for them. So yeah, once again, not a lot to say on them because we didn't really see any of them. But I think Mick, at this point, is probably just trying to stay out of trouble, and obviously the seat at Haas has still not been confirmed for next year, so hopefully, I really would like to see Mick stay on for another year, and I think it would be a wise decision from Haas because, you've got this young rookie who is, one of the most well-known names in Formula One. So I think it would be silly to get rid of him this soon. But you know, I'm not in charge of the team, so we just got to wait and see on that one. But hopefully he can have a strong end to the season as well, just like Vettel, and they can both have a nice send-off for Sebastian, because obviously, you know, those two are really close. So there we go, guys. That has been it for the Mexican Grand Prix race reaction. Like I said, not an awful lot to talk about because, well, half of the teams we didn't really see. And there was just not a lot going on. And like I said, I don't know if I mentioned it last year, but the Mexican circuit, I think, is pretty dire for racing anyway. I think it's a good qualifying track, especially for that middle sector with all the S's, but it definitely, I think it needs tweaking, or it needs to just go, because it's not a good track for overtaking. It's all single file through pretty much the second sector to the final corner, basically. So it's yeah, not great for racing, but nevertheless it was still entertaining, and like I said, we still got some really good action. So nonetheless, you know, I still love my F1, I don't care, but I definitely think something needs to be changed to the Mexican Grand Prix, because like I said, it's not ideal. And I'd love to know what you guys think as well. As always, let me know all your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. And make sure you give the video a thumbs up, guys. Make sure you subscribe as well. And I'll see you all again in the next one, guys. Take care.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind.